Drive Time on RTE Radio 1, sponsored by Zurich. When investment performance matters, make sure your savings are with Zurich. Visit zurich.ie to find out more.
A random assault at the weekend which left an Irish Olympian needing surgery has thrown a spotlight onto antisocial behaviour on Irish streets. If you've had similar experiences, you can text the show, as many people are doing, 51551, since I mentioned it at the top. But speaking on Morning Ireland, Jack Woolley, who represented Ireland in Taekwondo at the Tokyo Olympics just recently, described how he was assaulted in Dublin city centre last weekend.
There was a few people kind of on the road, and one of them just turned and hit me, apologised, said, "Oh, sorry, you're wrong person," and continued on their way down then to unfortunately assault other people then on the road. At the time, a lot of people are asking questions, how come you didn't defend yourself or anything like that, but it was literally just one punch, a ring connected with my front teeth, bust my lip open, and at the time the best thing to do was just get safe, find somewhere that I could safely call an ambulance and just get seen to.
I really feel bad for Jack Woolley, who deserves so much better. To discuss this further, I'm joined by the CEO of Dublin Town, Richard Guiney. Richard, you're very welcome to Drive Time once again. From the point of view of the businesses you represent, do you think violence and antisocial behaviour in the city centre is getting worse?
Look, we've always had an issue around antisocial behaviour. Dublin's a large city. Statistically, we would be seen as a safe enough city, and we don't have the kind of levels of knife crime that they'd even have in the UK. But the reality is people don't feel sufficiently safe in the city, and it's something that we do track. And unfortunately, people, don't feel as safe as they should in the city, and I think that's something that we absolutely have to address.
I think personal crime has increased, though, if I'm not mistaken, based on recent figures. And people are telling us, let me read you one text, Richard, you might respond to it. "I live in the city centre," says Ray, "in Dublin. It's gone crazy out there, and I saw that crowd that was on the boardwalk Friday night coming home from work where that attack took place. I even said it to my wife," says Ray, "when I got home, saying it looks very threatening out there. Then we hear this. It's everywhere in the city centre," he says.
Look, there are issues, and I think we need to understand the reasons why we have some of these experiences and address them. Certainly, I think we could certainly do with more Gardaí. It's something we've written to the Department of Justice to say, the kind of numbers of Gardaí that we have, I think are insufficient for a city as complex and as large as Dublin city centre.
Did you receive a response?
We did, and it wasn't satisfactory.
What did they say?
I replied, well, it was basically, a fairly standard civil service type letter. But we replied and said, look, this is something that we're not, because of the significance of the issues, and indeed, as you said, we represent businesses, and the businesses are not having a great time.
I can imagine. And I'll tell you, Richard, based on what we're getting here on 51551 from the public on this topic, if I had a business in Dublin city centre at the moment, and I'm just going by the text that we're getting, I'd be very concerned. This listener says Dublin is a no-go area at night. Gangs terrorising people, not a safe city for anyone.
Look, I think what we need to do is get a sense of perspective as well, and on the issues. We're not in the space that we need to be in, and the issues need to be addressed. That's very simple. That needs to be done, and I think look, the government have invested billions in maintaining businesses in situ. What we're saying to the government is you have to work with us to allow those businesses back to trade, and there are a number of issues that need to be addressed in that. But I think the perceptions of safety have been an issue that we've grappled with for some time. We made very significant progress between 2010 and 2016 in improving those perceptions. They have reversed since then.
But are you saying it's about perception? Is it about perception, or is this reality, Richard? But Derek, for example, texts the programme to say, "I stayed in Dublin last week. A lot of young boys going around in gangs. Witnessed a courier's bike being stolen by one of the gangs. One youth tried to trip the owner of a bike while he chased him. I was conscious of the safety of taking out my phone while walking." This is Dublin city centre we're talking about here.
Yeah, look, people do not feel safe, and and that is a reality, and we know that it does impact on people's decision to visit the city. So I think there are definitely issues that need to be addressed, and behaviour of some people is just not acceptable. But there's also other issues around perception and how the city is managed and how it comes together that need to be addressed as well. And other cities have addressed similar issues very successfully, and I think we need to do the same here. And I think it needs to be an all-of-city approach. I think it needs to involve the guards, it needs to involve government, Dublin City Council, the business community and residents in working out a plan that's going to deliver the city that we need for the 21st century.
You sound to me, Richard, like a man who's going to go back to the Department of Justice, in a word.
Well, we have, and this isn't something, as I said to the department, is something that we're not going to let lie. Dubliners and visitors deserve a city where they feel safe, where they feel comfortable and where they feel welcome.
Okay.
And I think everybody's got a responsibility to deliver that city.
Let me read one text from Morris, who agrees with you before we finish. Every city I've been to has a visible police presence in the city centre or tourist spots, unlike Dublin, where one feels very isolated and vulnerable, especially at night. Rough sleepers, says Morris, are not the problem. It's the youths on bikes. Look, we'll leave it there for the moment. Richard Guiney, CEO of Dublin Town, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme. A huge number of people texting the programme on that topic, and you can continue. We might get to a few more of your texts before the end of the programme. 51555.